all about humanity.
And here we go, people. And no, it's not 6 p.m. We're a bit earlier, but welcome in. I can see all the regulars joining. For those that don't know me, I'm Brian, the UKBitcoinMaster, as you can see on my hoodie. This is the Bullish Bitcoin channel where twice a week, every Monday and every Thursday, I go live and rant about my passion for Bitcoin and what people should be considering around doing their own research and any type of investing. So for the benefit of anybody finding this channel for the first time, please do not come here looking for financial advice. You are not going to find it. Please, please, please do your own research. If you want to support the channel and get a live hoot on show, you want to support the channel and buy a coffee, there's the QR code. But I'm going to say this again. The YouTube channel is not monetized. I don't do this for money. Many people have said, how can we drop you a tip? So, desktop, very quickly, I would encourage you all to follow me somewhere else. I've had this channel taken down once already. There is no reason YouTube, in their infinite wisdom, couldn't go and do that again. So I've got a backup channel, UK Bitcoiner. I'm on BitChute. I'm on Rumble. Follow me somewhere else, people. If you're not on the Orange Pill app, I've got to ask, what are you doing? This is an app for Bitcoiners. It is an app that allows you to connect with Bitcoiners locally to you wherever you travel around the world. If you're going to get on the Orange Pill app and try it out, do use my link because they'll give you 10,000 sats. But don't listen to me. Listen to somebody very seasoned in Bitcoin who knows her stuff.
I am so excited to share that I have joined Orange Pill app as an advisor. If you haven't downloaded this app yet, you are missing out on connecting with Bitcoiners in your area. The Orange Pill app is building the social layer for Bitcoin and helping to create opportunities for in-person connections and community building. You can create a profile and you will see lots of familiar faces there. And then you can search for Bitcoiners or Bitcoin events based on your location. I am geotagged in my home base, St. Louis, and I'm super grateful because the Orange Pill app has helped connect me with Bitcoiners in my new city. So come join us, download the Orange Pill app and head to theorangepillapp.com for more information.
Yeah, fantastic. And there's a link if you want to get 10,000 free sats. I've got to give a show out to my show sponsor, The Best of Exmoor. This is a British holiday company, vacation company. They accept Bitcoin. The guy, Chris, that runs it has been down the rabbit hole since 2017, the same as me. Southwest corner of the UK, that little leg that goes down is called the Southwest, or Devon and Cornwall, and these holiday homes are in the Exmoor National Park. So I would encourage you to at least go check them out because the reviews are stunning. Most of them are 9.5 to 9.9 out of 10, and some of them have got 10.10. Now, no Bitcoiner is going to spend their Bitcoin right now, but, you know, we are building a global infrastructure of merchants that will accept Bitcoin. So when the time is right, you want to know where you could book a vacation. So at the very least, give him a bit of love, scan the QR code and let him see that you've been looking around based what I have been covering. Okay, so back to me and what we've got in store now. I'm dead excited. Now, normally at this point, I go over to the chat. I give you guys a shout out and interact with you a little bit in the chat. But of course, I'm not going to do that today because time is precious and I want to get right on with this interview. But I can see you all in there. Johnny Midas, BitcoinMeister, Stephen Redding, Mr. W, Elaine, Mrs. UK, my lovely wife, Paul, Wiltshire BTC. You're all in there. So it's great that you are all in. But I want to get on with the show because I'm really excited what we're about to go through. I was doing my normal thing, watching YouTube channels, the people that I regularly follow, and all of a sudden I came across this interview with Pomp, and as you know, Pomp's recently been on my channel, and he interviewed this, from what I can gather, looks like a really, really lovely couple doing some really good stuff, or a couple of owners, I better say, because I know they're not a couple, doing some really good stuff with their business out in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So what I want to do is bring them in, and we are going to discuss that if my technology doesn't let me down. So Julie and Mike, I'd love to welcome you to my show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's
Thanks.
exciting to be live. We've never done a live podcast.
Well,
Thanks,
I've been
Brian. Thanks for
going live for donkey's years, so I don't want to record and mess around and fluff it all up. I just want, if there's mistakes, if things go wrong, I want it to be live and natural. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. I can see all the guys in the chat. Give these guys a bit of love. The first thing I'm going to say is you got to go to BlueCotton.com. You got to go check out their website because they're doing some fantastic work in and around Bitcoin. And that's what I want to talk about now, guys, if I may. So, Mike, Julie, I know you are the owners of BlueCotton.com. Yeah, you're out in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Forgive me, I had to get on the map to look and see exactly where it was. So you're not local to me, that's for sure. But what I'd like to do, if I may, guys, is for the benefit of the audience, maybe a little bit of background on you both and finding Bitcoin. And I don't want to speak out of turn here, but, you know, Mike, did you maybe find Bitcoin before Julie? And then it was your Bitcoin initiative that got Julie to come. Maybe you want to just explain to the audience, you know, where you come from, your background, and how you discovered Bitcoin. I think that'd be a great start.
Sure, Brian. I think that's a question a lot of people when they meet other Bitcoiners, they say, "Tell me your Bitcoin story, your Bitcoin journey." So, excuse me, mine started in 2013. Somebody told me about this thing called Bitcoin. All I could think about was just a way to get rich quick. And so I bought some in 2013. And then promptly in 2014, when the price like dropped 50%, I just sold it. I didn't really know what it was. I kind of feel embarrassed to tell that story, but I met a lot of people recently in El Salvador at Max and Stacy Kaiser's Bitcoin golf tournament event down there.
Oh, you've been
in
down
January.
there. Well done.
Yeah, I went there. We can talk about that in a minute, but a lot of people have that same story from 2013, 2014. So that's how I got introduced to it, but I didn't really get into Bitcoin until the end of 2020. And I just started doing some research at the end of the year. I've always been kind of a hard money, kind of person,
money, yeah.
like, let's make the money real and not inflate it away. So I was already kind of predisposed to that. And so I started studying Bitcoin, and I listened to podcasts, and I read articles, and I read Saifedean's book, The Bitcoin Standard. And so, I've spent the last 4.5 years really spending hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of hours studying Bitcoin. And my partner, Julie, she was not down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. She knew that I was thinking about it, talking about it, but it wasn't until we got Bitcoin involved with our company, that Julie started taking a harder look at it. And now, not only is she a believer in it in terms of what it does for our business, but I actually orange pilled Julie. So
I think you can't be a Bitcoiner and not try and orange pill your partner, whether that's a life partner or a business partner. So Julie, tell me a little bit about what you felt when Mike started talking to you about Bitcoin, and we'll come on to the initiative in a minute, because I was struck by what you said, Mike, on Pomp's show, that around, you gave them some money, and I won't steal the thunder right now, and then you asked them how much it was a bit later, and they said, I don't know. And so we'll come to that. But Julie, I'd love to hear how you got to talking with me today.
Yes. Well, definitely did not start it the same time Mike did. I mean, definitely heard about it, just crypto in general, but I didn't have sense of what I thought was superior or anything like that. Just, a little bit aware. Now, I was an employee at BlueCotton before I became Mike's partner. And so before I had bought out his former partner, they had already kind of invested some of our company treasury, if you will, in Bitcoin. So I kind of walked into the situation where that decision had already been made. And again, it was still kind of an up and down thing there, but we had the money and the patience to sit there and let it do what it does. So I wasn't bothered by that. I mean, I'm a pretty reasonable person and can ride the wave of things, but I also wasn't championing for it like Mike was. But we'll get into the story of what we do with our employees. But when he brought that idea to me, regardless of what I knew, I do see the benefit of doing an experiment like that could really change the life of our employees. And that I am so passionate about, because I have been in their seat. I grew up similar to many of them, just our family means, and then I have been an employee, so it was really a passion of mine. And Mike's joining that too, just to make things great for them. And so I was all on board that if there was a way to change the trajectory of our people, I'm all for trying it. If it didn't sink the ship, so if we could put our resources out there and have an asymmetric bet, like Mike said, that things could go really great, then I wanted to be a part of that.
Oh, fantastic. I thought, oh, brilliant. Like you, we're speaking off air. I come from a background of driving trucks. We call them lorries in the UK. You call them trucks. And I did that for a couple of decades or more until I got really, really ill with an illness that I've still got today. And so I come from that working class. And like you, Mike, when I first saw Bitcoin, I saw number go up. But like so many people, the number go up when you're invested in something, as we did back in 2017. You learn about it because you've not put a few pennies in. If you've properly invested, you want to learn about where you put your money. So I started doing loads of research, and I've been doing that research even today, every day, probably an hour in the morning, an hour before I go to sleep. Every day, my lovely wife will tell you, I am on YouTube, and I've got people I follow, people I watch, people that I trust financially that are not trying to take us down a road, a bum steer, if you like. They genuinely feel that Bitcoin's got a place where it can make the world a better place, if that makes sense. So I'm regular, like you guys. I just chose to go and do a show. So I came for the number go up. Very quickly, you changed to, I won't say I'm here for the revolution, but in loose terms, the revolution as in making the world a better place, fix the money, fix the world. You fix the money and then slowly you fix the world. That's how I see it anyway. Does that make some kind of sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, number go up gets the headline, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
But it's the technology behind it. It's the infrastructure that was built, the code that was built. Because as you know, at the end of the day, it's just pure math.
Yep.
It's like it's
Yep.
In some ways it's the most complicated thing you've ever heard, and it's something that you feel like you'll never understand. And in other ways, it's the most simple idea in the world. How about just a fixed supply of money that doesn't get inflated and doesn't inflate away your work and your life's effort and your labor. You said you came from a truck driving background. Julie was an employee at our company for a long time. I started my company out of college, just selling t-shirts to fraternities and sororities on university campuses. So, we all three kind of come from, this kind of working idea. We're not in a high-tech business. We're in the screen printing and embroidery business. We customize t-shirts for clubs, groups, and organizations. We print on t-shirts like this, or exactly like the one that you're wearing. We embroider hats. That's our business. That's what we do, or that's what we sell. What we say we do is we try to provide an opportunity for our people to transform their lives. And honestly, Brian, that's a recent evolution for us. I mean, that's probably, in the last 5 years that we started putting energy towards that. And
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, shall we? Because
sure,
obviously, I'm going to be honest with you. I probably watched you and Pomp probably 10 times in the last 2 days to really get you guys into my head, so that I'm not just some parrot asking a question, you saying something and me moving to the next question. I wanted to have a proper conversation with you, and that's how it allows me to do that. And what I remember is the first thing you did was you put a lump sum and you gave it to your employees. Talk to the audience about that first.
Sure. So in the summer of 2020, COVID's going on, and in our state, our governor had mandated that all the businesses should shut down. We defied that order and decided, no, we're not shutting down. Our business is essential. But there was a lot of uncertainty in those early days, March, April, May, and a lot of our people came to work every day. And so in June, as a way to say thank you to those people that had, somewhat taken a chance on coming to work, we just thought, let's do something nice. Let's give out a bonus. And so we decided to give out a $30,000 bonus, and we went down on the floor and we announced that we're going to give out $30,000. If you're a full-time employee, you're going to get $500. If you're a part-time employee, you're going to get $250. And everybody just, was just like cheering. It was like just a humongous uproar of approval. And so we felt great about it, and they felt great about it. And Brian, we're a small business. It's not like we're not some global corporate machine. $30,000 was a lot of money to us, and our business is owned by the partners, and so that's our money, and so it was a lot for us, but it was received really well. So anyway, fast forward 2 years, because COVID was hard on our business. 20 and 21 were difficult times for us because our business, as I said earlier, it's clubs and groups coming together. And when people aren't coming together, they're not buying shirts to commemorate the activity. So, but in 2022, things kind of turned around, and we'd invested a lot into into our business and what we wanted to be and why we did it and all these things. And so I said to Julie one day, I said, hey, we're having a good year. Let's do that again. Except this time we're going to give away $40,000. And so that's the genesis of this whole conversation that we're having today. I went to one of my most financially responsible employees, and I said, because I couldn't remember the per employee amount, I could remember the big amount. And I said, Michael, hey, when we gave that money away a couple years ago, how much did you get? And I'll never forget, Brian. He said, I don't remember.
And you were floored, weren't you?
Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking, we gave away 30 grand. And they don't remember. They remember the event, but they don't remember how much they got. And so I marched right down to Julie's office. I said, hey, that's 40,000. Like that's off the table. We're not doing it. And I started thinking, what could I do? What could we do that they would never forget? And by that time, I'm 2.5 years into the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and I'm sold on Bitcoin. And I thought, what if there's a way? How could we give Bitcoin to our people? Because in a lot of ways, our people are the very definition of the ones getting hit the hardest through inflation and through reckless government spending.
Paycheck to paycheck. Yeah,
exactly. We have people that working paycheck to paycheck. They're hourly workers, and maybe they don't own a lot of assets. And when you don't own a lot of assets and you're in a high inflation environment, you are getting left behind. Absolutely left behind. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And we wanted to give them a way to fight back. It's just like, and Bitcoin is that weapon, right? Bitcoin is the weapon that gives them some equity, gives them some ownership, gives them a stake, right? In the world and in the economy. And so I personally wanted to learn about mining. Like, I was down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, but I didn't know anything about mining. So I thought, well, I'll learn about mining, but we're going to mine on behalf of our people. So we took the $40,000. Stop
there. So you obviously went to Julie because she's your partner, and I really want to get that reaction.
Go ahead.
Well,
the initial one, Julie, the initial one.
Yeah, no, well, look, I'd already committed to the $40,000. So if we did it in cash or we did it in Bitcoin, I'd already committed. So it wasn't a big leap. I was like totally on board. And I totally also understood that the minute we gave them that money, it was gone. I mean, it was quickly gone out of their hand, and it wasn't too long before it was gone out of their mind. So I was with Mike that I did want something that mattered and that would actually make a difference. Like, if we were going to be doing such a big investment that makes a difference for us, I want it to make a difference for them.
Gotcha.
So.
Oh, brilliant. No, thank you. I just was interested in whether there was any pushback to start with, but thank you. Go on, Mike, carry on.
No, not at all. Not at all. And so we just decided, hey, we're going to invest $120,000, $40,000 a year for the next 3 years. And we're going to buy mining equipment, and we're going to mine Bitcoin on behalf of our employees. And all they have to do to get it is stay 5 years.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't have to put any investment in. There is no commitment on their part other than if you stay 5 years, you're eligible. And so we bought mining equipment in 2022, and we built a closet, and we hooked up the miners, and we started mining it right there on location, which kind of turned out to be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, because when I went down on the floor the first day to announce that, I said, hey, we were going to give you 40 grand, but instead we're going to give you 120 grand, but we're going to give it to you in Bitcoin. I mean, Brian, you've seen that on people's face. They're like, what is Bitcoin? What is he talking about? This seems like a foreign language to me. And so we had to overcome a lot of that. But the fact that the miners were on location and they could hear them running, right? And they could hear the noise, they could feel the heat coming out of that
Let me see if I can show it to the audience while you're talking. Carry on.
Sure. The fact that they could see that, it kind of helped make it a little more tangible to them.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have a monitor in the warehouse. This is our warehouse, and we have a monitor in the warehouse that displays the price of Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin we've mined, and how much each individual person's stake is worth. So at this time, this was probably in, well, it looks like that was around November, when the price was 98,000. You know, each person's stake was about $6,500 at that point. So you think about 2020, we gave them $500, and that money was forgotten about 2 years later. Now they see a number that's 6,500. Today, that number, I just looked at before I came over here to do this podcast, it was 8,100 per person. I mean, that's real money. You know, that's real money to these people. And let me tell you something you will agree with, and Julie and I, the three of us will agree with, 8,100 is the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I fully anticipate making millionaires out of our people. And when we do, we're not paying it out in fiat. We're paying it out in Bitcoin, because part of this whole thing was there was an education piece of this. There was a long-term thinking piece of this, and there was an adoption piece of this, because, you know, I want Bitcoin to be adopted.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of influence in the world, but I've got influence over about 130 people, and I can help them adopt Bitcoin. And so that's what we're attempting to do. And so that's how this started. And honestly, and I'll let Julie speak to this a little bit more, we didn't do this for us.
Yep.
Like, we really didn't. And she'll speak to that. We just wanted to find how do we help our people fight back? And this was the way that we came up with. So
fantastic. Before Julia speaks to that, I just want to say, coming from where I'm coming from, when you said to the employees what you were going to do, and you got the blank faces and the what and all the rest of it, I had the same situation in 2018 when I bought all my family a little bit of Bitcoin each, okay, instead of a gift. And it was like, what? I actually told them the other day that little gift has 10x'd. Now, I still hold it for them. So the danger is if I go, it goes with me. But the point is that gift that they couldn't have and go and blow straight away has 10x'd. And this thing's only just getting going. So I get that with the employees and the vacant look on their faces. Sorry, Julie. Go on. You were going to speak to what Mike was saying.
Well, I just think, you know, speaking about 2020, I think it was terrible, right? I mean, just everything that we all went through, but it was also, I like to use this word a lot. I think it was separation season for a lot of people, because the people who really hunkered down, they had came out of COVID better than ever. And we were, quite honestly, we were one of those people that just put in a lot of hard work and was very introspective of who do we want to be? Like in the world of business, I think we kind of came down to the fact that if the dream is just about us making money, then the dream's not big enough. It's got to be bigger than that. Like, why do we get up every day to come do this? Like, clearly we're trying to support ourselves, but it has to be bigger than that. And so we did make a decision that as long as we're doing good, Mike has said this ever since he hired me as an employee, like when the business does well, everyone does well. Yeah. I think we took that a step further to really think about their well-being as human beings, not just the dollars in their pocket. And so we just said, look, if we have the ability to do it, we're going to do it because it's the right thing to do. We're not going to expect anything in return, because we will know that by doing this, it's enough to have done that. And that included not just the Bitcoin, but the education we're going to do for people, the interest that we were going to take in their lives, and trying to get them just to where they wanted to be in life. And so we just said, we want it that when they come to BlueCotton, they experience a life that they never thought that they would have by joining up with us. So many people took a job at BlueCotton of just like, well, I'm going to do this for now or until. And I was like, I want to take that until part out. Not everyone's going to stay with us forever, but I want them to come and be like, man, the value I've gotten out of working at this place, like I print t-shirts, but what I've received has opened my eyes to just the possibilities of my life. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and I think for your audience that, like, you know, we're in the States and you guys are in England and Europe, I guess, and further abroad. But I think the message for business owners that are listening is, you know, we have an opportunity to do something really unique for our people.
Agreed.
Right? like Julie said, we can make money. And look, let me tell you something, Brian, we struggled with this. We read a book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. You might have read that book or seen his TED Talk.
No.
And we read that book, and and so in the book, basically he says, you got to know why you do what you do, and it can't be for money.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that put me in a bad spot, because I'm like, well, that is why I do what I do. I've got to figure out, we've got to figure out, why are we really coming to work every single day? And I think Julie said it right. Once you've had some level of kind of financial success, well, additional financial success is just marginal.
Yeah.
Where can we really make an impact, right? Where can we really make a difference? And we just decided, you know what, we've got this little tiny kingdom of about 130 people. Because Julie and I both aspire for more. I'd like to be the president. She'd probably like to be the governor of Kentucky. But here's the thing: we do have about 130 people that we have some influence over.
Yep.
And we thought, let's just start where we are, right? Like kind of bloom where you're planted. What can we do to impact these people's lives? And so our purpose, and it's now written down in our company, in our
vision.
Yeah, in our vision, our purpose is to provide an opportunity for our employees to transform their lives. And so this is one thing, but we do a lot of things. And so again, for the business owners that are listening, it's not just a magic, like shoot an arrow of buy some Bitcoin and give it to your people. We do education class. We do personal development classes, Brian.
This is what
week.
I wanted to come on to. I really want you to tell my audience, it's not just about buying them the Bitcoin and saying, in 5 years you can have this Bitcoin. You followed through with the education. And before you speak, there's a phrase that I remember from years ago, and it said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this is... Go, please.
And we've all heard that, but when you put it into practice, it feels so different, because we talked about humanizing the employee.
100%.
When it's hard to not like someone when you get to know them. It's hard to be like, well, that person doesn't do this or this. But when you get to know that person, you're like, okay, well, there's something to work with here. So really what we've done is engage with our employees, and Mike will get into what we've done, but I do want to say this, because we have reached a certain level of success where we can put this kind of investment into our people, and even put the time, because we have layers of people helping to run our business. But I would say for like the entrepreneur that is like a 10-person team or a 2-person team, they can still give back to their people in the way that we have, simply by engaging. It doesn't cost you anything but your time. And as a former employee, I can tell you, I would run through a wall for Mike back then, when I was engaged, when I understood where we were going, and like, if I could help in that and be involved, I would do those things. So I would tell for people that are watching, no matter where you are, if you're a manager or owner, just engaging people and investing in them with your time is so valuable. And then as life goes on, you can invest in other ways. And we've been fortunate to do this. But yeah, we started with these classes that Mike.
I just want to hear about the classes.
Yeah. So, for many years, Brian, and for too many years, and this is, again, what I want the business owners in your audience to hear, for too many years, I just wanted the employee-employer relationship to be transactional. Why can't they just come to work, do their job, and I'll write them a check and they go home?
Yep.
And Julie alluded to this, but that's not the human experience. That is not the way humans were created. We're created to be relational.
Yep.
And it took me far too long to figure that out. And so we made a decision one day. There's an old proverb that says, don't withhold good to those whom it's due when it's in your power to give it. And Julie and I read that one day, and we just said, you know what? We'd already done the Bitcoin part, and we're just trying to think, what else can we do? And we just said, you know what? Our purpose has got to be, what can we do to help develop people, and not for our return. Like this, we had this very defined conversation in her office where we said, we're not going to help people for BlueCotton. We're going to help people for the people.
Yep.
And if they leave and find something better, we're going to celebrate that. Like, this cannot be a return for us. And I really think that may be one of the reasons why we've been blessed so much since then, is because we really did it to just help. So we started, I mean, it sounds crazy, but we started these personal development classes. And the whole premise was, every day I get up, I want to be better.
Yeah.
And I have a belief that most people in life, when they get up every day, they want to be better. And so that makes all of us pretty much equal or the same. And so we started a group and we just started talking about personal development. We read books together. We would come together once a week for an hour and we would talk about the book that we had read. We read books about positive attitude. We read books about, we read a book about a guy, the richest man in town. It was a guy that worked at Walmart. He was a Walmart cashier and everybody waited in his line because he gave him so much personal attention. And we read books about leadership and management and we watched videos and we just started doing development. And it was about discipline, physical discipline, mental discipline, even spiritual discipline, financial discipline. We did a series of financial classes at the end of the year last year. It's probably been the most successful series that we've done. We did 5 or 6 classes on finances. And we just talked about, we started with very broad things. We talked about the economy. We defined GDP. We talked about interest rates. We talked about inflation. We talked about saving mechanisms, investments.
But most people have never learned that, Mike, have they?
Well,
ever?
You're exactly right. They haven't. I kind of grew up, just those things were always talked about in my house, but they're not talked about in a lot of houses. And so we started talking about that. And I spent the last 2 classes talking about Bitcoin. Now they hear about Bitcoin a lot because we have a monthly meeting we have an all employee meeting every month and we always talk about Bitcoin. So, but I spent 2 classes getting into the details and the nuts and bolts of the Bitcoin and how these people could, on their own, they could buy Bitcoin and, use it as a savings, as a savings technique. But what we ultimately did, I guess we ultimately did 2 things. We made a commitment. How can we really provide an opportunity? We can't transform the lives of the employees. We can't do that, but we can provide an opportunity for them to transform their lives.
Yeah.
And then the second thing we did that was like kind of the nuts and bolts, we took this really innovative, magical technology that Satoshi created, and we made it useful for common people. And they don't have to go down the rabbit hole. They don't have to listen to the Pomp podcast or listen to your podcast or read Saifedean's book or listen to debates between Peter Schiff and Robert Breedlove. They don't have to get into all that.
Yeah.
We just took this great technology and made it useful for common people. And I got to tell you, we feel very, very good about that. And we feel strongly enough to go on podcasts around the world. We talked to some people in Australia. We're talking to people today in England and Europe, and we've talked to in the United States. And it's just, it's really not a unique message. Take care of your people. But it is a unique way in which we applied it. We talked about this. I went to El Salvador earlier this month and got to talk to Max and Stacy about what we're doing at their event. And, people just like applaud. And I think on one hand, it's just taking care of people. But I understand the uniqueness is we're using Bitcoin in a very cool way.
But can I also say something that a lot of the times it's the person's values. A lot of business owners, they'll never have your values, and it is all about the bottom line. And, it is, I'm so sorry I've got to let you go on December the 23rd. And then they're out the door and it's like, right, what are we doing for lunch? And it's like, if you care about your people, they will feel that. And for me, listening to your story, you can't just give them some Bitcoin, because to them, A, they don't know what it is, and B, if they get some money, they're just going to go blow it. You go and teach them about sound money, about saving and investing for the future, and delaying gratification. Like you said, they don't need to go on all the podcasts, but they'll get the basis of, wow, this could really help me and my family in the future. And that's all you're trying to achieve here. I try to simplify it for the working class people that I talk to. And I say to them, look, how much is a dozen eggs? How much was a dozen eggs 5 years ago? Then I always give the analogy, and unfortunately it comes out of the US and nobody's doing it here, and that is in the US. I think something like 5 years ago to buy a house would have cost something like 250 Bitcoin. Today it's 4.6, something like that. I probably butchered it.
Right,
but the point is, it is getting cheaper over time. And if you can get those simple explanations over to people, you're going to have a percentage of them go, I get it. And that's all we're trying to do here. And without that education, I don't think you're going to gain anything at all. So when I heard that, the reason I reached out, Mike, honest to God, when I watched that podcast, I was blown away. I was nearly on the floor with, really? And I just had to reach out to you thinking, oh, they won't respond. And bang, here we are doing a podcast together. So listen, there's a couple of things I just wanted to say. Now, I remember from Pomp's podcast, you were saying that, the average wage where you're at is about $17 an hour. You've got bigger companies around the corner or in your county that are offering $20. I remember you saying it, Julie, $20 and a starting bonus. I'm really interested, and hopefully my audience are, in what's happened and retention. And like you were saying, the overtime's gone now. I was fascinated by all of that. So I've sort of put it in your court. Explain that to my audience. Fascinating.
Yes, all of that is true. So we don't manufacture anything. We decorate, garments that are already created, but we are in an industrial park. So there are many other very large companies around us. And when everyone was struggling after COVID, there's just signs in everyone's yard of, the starting page just kept going up and up and up. And then they'd have signing bonuses. And so we really did struggle to compete in that. I will tell you, I just told Mike this before we came on, but I was like, we're kind of experiencing this overwhelming thing of people wanting to work with us, even when we don't have the positions available. And I think that's where the culture is speaking for itself. So I think a lot of people put so much value on what you pay someone and not the value you give them as an employee. And we've just tapped into that from a very sincere place. And so people recognize that and they're like, man, I want to put my time and energy into that company because they're going to put some energy into me. So, but at the time, we're using this as a recruitment tool as well. That's not why we did it originally, but we're like, man, that's a benefit. We need to throw that in there. So again, we gave away the Bitcoin. It was a little while before we started our education. So there's a little bit of a gap there, but we did catch on. And then still it takes a little time for people to catch on.
Yeah.
So now that people caught on, we've done some other things too. We've improved our, employee, like how we hire people, our recruitment and just the interview process. We've improved on onboarding. We've improved our training. It's amazing when you do that, how all of it comes together. But in 2 years ago, we measured our turnover was 108%.
This is crazy, Brian.
Meaning that not every position turned over, but about half of our positions turned over more than once per year, which is a killer on our bottom line. And it's really, the worst part is a killer on the morale of everyone else around. They can't connect with their coworkers because they're not there long enough to learn anything about them. And it slows down our high producers because they were the ones helping train these new people coming in. So that's just when we knew, like, okay, this has got to stop. It's just running us all ragged. We've got to figure out how to make a change. So that's when we started improving like our hiring process, our onboarding, all those good things. 2 years later, we've measured it and our turnover is 33%. So we've gone from 108% to 33%. And here's what that means. Yeah, here's what that means is we had our best year in company history last year. And we did all of that on straight time, which is also the first time that's ever happened in company history, because we would have good years, but we would get behind in our work throughout the week. So we would have to have voluntary overtime, sometimes a lot of mandatory overtime. And, our people would be frustrated about that. It's hard to like plan your life outside of work when you don't know if you have to come in on a Saturday or not. But this year we produced more than we ever had on 40-hour work weeks for our people. We only had one mandatory overtime that happened in November of last year. And it was just incredible. And the reason is because we're keeping our people, that we're hiring better people. They're staying longer. They're getting better at their jobs. They're efficient and very effective at what they do, which is great for our customers. And our customers have rewarded us. So it's just, and look, we just wanted to do what was right. I'm not going to say that we didn't want to fix those problems, but the two weren't connected at the time. But we do truly feel that what we decided to do has come back to pay us. Been very rewarding.
I can see it.
And I can't stress enough. I mean, again, to those people who are listening that run or manage businesses, I mean, 108% turnover. We're turning over every position more than one time in a year. You have 120 people. That means you're hiring like 130 people a year. We're spending so much of our time hiring people who are leaving. And as Julie said, 60 of those people weren't leaving. So that means we're really hiring 130 people for the other 60 positions. That number is 33% now. And what she said about the 1 day of mandatory overtime, I mean, 1 day of mandatory overtime, it has changed our culture completely.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So you can clearly see that you've got Bitcoin and people looking at their number go up on the shop floor. And then you've got some issues within your company that by introducing the Bitcoin initiative, the ancillary effect is you are improving your company's issues is the wrong word, but you understand what I mean. And the two are just hand in hand, aren't they?
Well, I think our people, this may sound cheesy, but I stand next to it. I think our people are starting to dream again.
Yep.
For so long, they were just surviving. And now we've provided opportunity to give them hope. I think they can start to see a future for themselves that they are fully in control of, and things aren't happening to them. They have some say in this matter, and we have a stable workplace that we can, give them the room to breathe. And I think it's just, that's very rewarding. People want that.
That is crazy. That is crazy. I just don't want to miss on any questions that I think might be important. So surely what you guys are doing to improve company retention, every company should want to know about. That's why I just put in the chat and brought it across the screen. Every one of us knows somebody that runs a company. And I think we're back to this, what I refer to as the 80-20 rule that you'll never change. And if you get this message out to loads of companies, there's going to be a few that are going to go, well, I'll take a look at that. And this is how we change the world, one connection at a time. And I always say, and I don't know how you guys feel, I always say that you are not a Bitcoiner if you are scared to tell somebody about Bitcoin, to tell a company how they could improve morale, improve retention, up their bottom line and everything else with Bitcoin. What you should be doing is, I'm going to tell this person, this company, and I'll let go of the outcome. And if they're not interested, I bless them and I move on. And why aren't we all doing that? And what you're doing, the interesting thing, have you had any feedback? Have you had any external feedback from customers or has it impacted the customer base at all? Were they seeing any differences, any changes?
I would say that the customers don't feel it in the same way that the employees do.
Yeah.
But the customers are benefited because they're getting a product that is more likely to be correct, on time, because they have a more experienced people working on that. So it's a win-win-win all around. We get some local press here in Kentucky for some of the things that we do, but in terms of like the external result, after that podcast, Brian, that we did with Pomp, I probably got 70 emails from all around the world, including yours, and including a bakery from England, a multi-generational family-owned bakery that had questions about what we were doing. And, you said, I wondered if you'd write me back. Of course I'd write you back, because I'm a Bitcoiner. I'm not going to overlook an email that another Bitcoiner sends me. And so I spent the day before Thanksgiving, the holiday here in the United States, writing all those people back, not copy and pasting it, individually write everybody back. And so I know it's making an impact. And I met some of the nicest, some of the most thoughtful, innovative people that are just looking for, how can we make an impact, right? How can we make an impact in our market, in our industry, in our business, with our people? And, it feels really good to be part of that conversation. We don't for a minute think that we started that conversation. It feels great to be part of that conversation, because those people that emailed me, I learned as much from them as they learned from me. And so it's just a sharing of these ideas. And I think if we can continue to do that, we can shine a light. Sailor bought, is it hope.com?
Yep.
The website hope.com, where he explains Bitcoin. Like, can we just shine the light around the world of a technology that actually can help regular people, real people on the ground, common people, to have better and more fulfilled lives? And can we be part of that conversation, man, if we can? And that's why we're doing your show today. We want to be part of that.
Tell me about Jensen. When you spoke to Jensen, that tickled me. For my audience, I've heard it about 12 times in 2 days.
Yeah.
But Jensen.
So in one of so we have three of these leadership groups, and we teach a class 1 hour a week, one on Tuesday, and two on Wednesday. And so we're engaging about close to 60 of our people in a 1-hour personal development class every single week.
Yep.
And so our second group, we just recently renamed them Millionaires in the Making, because I was demonstrating to them how they can be through using company savings plans and other retirement plans and Bitcoin. And so I had everybody raise their hand in the room. Hey, if you think you're going to be a millionaire, raise your hand. And, about half the people raised their hand. And then I talked a little longer, and I got kind of the end, and just about everybody raised their hands. And I look over at this one girl named Jensen, and she's just looking at me like, that's never going to happen. And I just said, you don't believe me, but you just watch. You just watch. It's going to happen. And so, that's kind of fun. It's kind of a lighthearted moment, but it's, people, I think that's why Saylor bought the website hope.com. I think people lose hope. I mean, you feel like you're getting left behind, Brian. I mean, you guys in the UK are no different from us. Inflation is leaving people behind.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's a real issue. Turnover is a hidden tax on business, right? But inflation's a hidden tax on people, and they're getting left behind, and they don't have hope. And what we want to do is spread a little hope in the world and say, hey, with a little bit of discipline, and it does require discipline. You can't be reckless and be financially successful, but with some discipline and some education and some tools, you can have more than you ever dreamed. And that's what we're trying to provide for our people. Can we give them something? Can we provide them a platform for them to reach for more than they ever dreamed? And if we can do that, we will feel great about our commitment to the business in Bowling Green, Kentucky, to BlueCotton.
I'm going to pay a compliment to you guys. I've been interviewing people on my show for nearly 7 years. The likes of Preston Pish, Larry Lepard, and all of them, Lynn and all, not Lynn Alden, James Lavish, loads. And this is the most inspiring, for me, in my heart, the most inspiring conversation I've had out of all of them. It's just phenomenal. So I don't know what the audience are thinking. I tell you what I am interested in is, have you got some kind of metric, some kind of calculation as to, I know you said you started it in 2022 and, the first payout is 2027. I mean, what have you got in the pot? I know you added a couple in yourself, but just so the audience can get a sort of, some context. Yeah.
Let's get into like some of the actual nuts and bolts. So we bought miners.
Yep.
To start. That was the first 40,000. We bought miners.
Yep.
And those we kind of tagged for whatever these miners make, that'll go towards 2027. And I've been told that the miners should last 5 to 7 years. So that's 2027. Well, then the price at the end of 2022, as you remember, the price of Bitcoin dropped down to about $20,000.
Yeah.
It ultimately went to 15. But at $20,000, we were like, well, 20 times 2 is 40,000. That's a clean way. So let's just buy 2 coins for 2028. So we did that. And then we bought another $40,000 worth of miners for 2029. And we were able to get, with that second 40,000, because the price of Bitcoin had dropped, we were able to get more miners and more powerful miners. And so we now have over 4 coins. We've mined a little over 2. We bought 2. We still have about 3 to 5 years left of life on the mining equipment. And then we just recently made a commitment for 2025. So we put another $40,000 in at the end of last year for 2030. So we're just continuing the program, and we bought a little over half a coin with that money. And so we've got about a little over 4.5 coins right now. I think we will get, just with this original investment, I think we'll get to 6 or 7. All right. That won't count if we continue doing it in years to come. I think with the original investment of 120,000, we will get to 6 or 7. And, you can do your calculation of what you think Bitcoin is going to turn out to be. And you can also do a calculation on how many people you think will stay 5 years at our company. We estimate that number to be about 60 people. But if Bitcoin gets to Michael Saylor's, he has a base case of 3, he has a big bear case of
13 is middle, isn't it?
Well, 13's his middle. It's 3, 13. I forgot his
40,
top case.
49, I think. I think it's 43 or 49 or something.
If you take his 13 million in 21 years, and I realize that's a big number. We don't know if we'll get there. But if it's 13 million in 21 years, we've made 60 millionaires. 60 millionaires. if we hit that number. And you know what? If it only gets to 5 million, well, we still made 60 people. We changed the trajectory of the financial future of their family. And we're very, very proud to be part of something like that.
Do you know what I see here? What I see is by going out there and trying to change the lives of your employees, and the employees staying because they see an incentive to stay. Flip side of that is you guys are seeing how they're feeling, which is making you look at a longer term investment and keeping the whole process going, which will keep your employees longer. Oh my, a perpetual cycle that is only going in one direction, Mike.
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah, it's made a lot more fun for us to come to work. I mean, I would say the highlight of our week are these hour-long education classes. We have 2 of them right now. We just started our 3rd one that starts in a few weeks. So, I mean, that's going to be what, a third of our company is going to be, in one of these, and they're the most engaged people. I mean, there's just there's trust that's built. We just work better together. So it's fun to come to work when you have things like this going on.
It's what life's about. Wouldn't it be a better world if everybody helped everybody, if everybody tried to give someone a lift up? But we don't. We all run at 90 miles an hour. Nobody's got any time for anyone. And I always use the analogy that, you might be at work in an office and somebody's coming towards you and they go, "How are you?" And before you've had time to go, "Well, I'm fine, thank you," they're just gone. And everybody, running at 100 miles an hour to stand still. So I think what you're doing is so inspiring. And I really, really thank you for coming on. That's the best conversation I've had since I've been doing these interviews. So I'm going to tell the audience right now, you need to go to BlueCotton.com. These guys are out in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Go to BlueCotton.com and show them some love. Have a look at their merch, do whatever you need to do. But guys, what else can I say? Is there anything you want to leave with my audience before we wrap? Any thoughts?
Like I said before, I just think for us, the thing that's changed our company is just engaging with our people on a human level to make their life better. If you're making it better with Bitcoin, if you're making it better by being genuinely interested in them, I just think investing in people and the way that you can do it where you are is just a great start. I would encourage everyone to do that if that's your purpose too.
Mike, last thoughts?
Yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to get in front of your audience and talk about the things that we've done, because here's what I know: there are people that are listening that they'll either do what we're doing, or they will come up with some unique version of it for themselves. And so, like I said, just being part of the energy that helps create and innovate for other people, it just means so much. So like we are so happy to take, an hour and a half out of our day to talk to somebody that we've never met before that lives on another continent, because it just, we feel like we're helping spread a message that can really impact, like I said, just really impact regular people.
Wow, it's been an absolute delight. And you talk about a little old continent. It reminds me of the film The Holiday with Jack Black, when he says, "Here's a package from a little old town called London, England." Because your country is so vast, it's crazy. Guys, listen, thank you. Will you please just stay in the green room so I can take 30 seconds with you before we disappear? I always like to wrap with the audience with a quote, so stay with me. I'm just going to bring up this quote. Guys, I found this one from Confucius. "A seed grows with no sound, but a tree falls with a huge noise. Destruction has noise, but creation is quiet. This is the power of silence. Grow silently." I don't know what you think about that, guys, but what a lovely quote. I try to find a quote to finish every one of my shows. Once more, guys, absolute pleasure. Stay in the green room while I wrap. Thank you. Really appreciate it. So, guys, that is it. I hope you got something from that. I know I did. I'm going to share that with everybody I know that has got any type of company. Share the link and just tell them to go watch this if they want to improve morale, retention. Just absolutely fantastic. So do me a favor, guys, please. If you haven't clicked the like button, do. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please go into the comments after the show live stream has ended. Refresh your browser and leave a comment, because it really does spank the YouTube algorithm. Do go to BlueCotton.com. that's it. I'm done. I'll be back on Monday, 6 p.m. London, 1 p.m. Eastern, with another standard news show. So come and join me for that. As always, I'm going to leave you with my social media. And Mike and Julie, I will catch you when this goes, when it's finished. Guys, I'll catch you all on Monday. I really hope you got something from it all. Cheers.
Bitcoin and things like it is the equivalent of the red pill.
This is a technology, it's a computing language, and I